So, hi, hello, my name is Brent, most often known as Dork Lord Canada on the internet. These are Solo Fridays, and this is going to be calling them Solo Friday Plus, because I'm going to be doing Saturday mornings as well. And yeah, the Solo Fridays and the Solo Saturday mornings are going to be are all in support of Extra Life. You can see my funding bar at the top of the screen there. I have set myself a fairly lofty goal for this year, but I'm hoping that I can manage to hit that. And yeah, with everyone's help who's been coming by, I think I can do it. I think it's achievable. But it's just me hanging out on Friday nights and Saturday mornings, playing some solo TTRPGs. So if you don't have any experience with those, this is a good place to sort of check in and see what's out there. But anyway, bringing it all around back around to Don Ringer's comment. Last weekend, when I was doing the tabletop weekend, I did draws. People who donated over the weekend got entered into a draw for signed copies of My Mother's Kitchen. Let me just... There it is. A beautiful solo TTRPG by Fleet Dietrich, who I also worked on this game. I was honored that Fleet's hired me to edit the game for them. Yeah, it's a beautiful little game. Going to be playing it on stream tomorrow morning. Actually, that's the game I'm kicking off with. But I had two. Fleet was kind enough when they sent me my editor's copy to send me two signed copies that I could give away to donors, and so that's what I did last weekend. And Don Ringer was one of those winners, and another person, Jess the Human, who you probably know around the internet. See if their command still works. No, I think I disabled it because it's ending tonight. But they've been doing the TTRPGs for Palestine bundle and through Tiltify, which has at this point raised a little over $31,000. I want to say. Yeah, it closes tonight. I'll put the link in chat. It is currently raised. When Jess started this, it was, I think, $5,000. Now it has a $30,000 goal and has currently raised $32,291. And there's the link to that. You should definitely go check it out. There are like over 190 tabletop games in that bundle, and for like a measly $15 donation, you can help support the Palestine Children's Relief Fund and get yourself a bunch of games. So you should definitely go and check that out before it closes tonight. Highly recommend. And I know it seems counter. I'm here doing a stream trying to raise money for Extra Life, but this is a really important cause right now. Palestine needs our help, and everything we can do to try and help them. In that spirit, I have taken it upon myself. I'm going to match every dollar that is donated to me for Extra Life. I'm going to match with a donation to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So I've already sent off the payment for the first quarter of this year. At the end of June, I'll send off payment for the second quarter. But yeah, so if I do manage to hit my $2,000 goal by the end of the year, that will also mean an extra $2,000 going to Palestine Children's Relief. which I think is pretty fantastic. Tonight, we are going to be playing a wonderful little game by Dark Jaguar. I'm going to put their link in the chat now. Go check out Dark Jaguar's page and give them a follow. They're a wonderful, wonderful South American creator, and you should definitely check out their stuff because it's very sweet and short and imaginative. Without further ado, this is a Faery's Day adventure into the human world. You are a young Fae who has come of age and have finally been granted permission to explore the human world on your own. You have been there a few times, but always with a guardian. This will be your first magical adventure on your own, and you are excited to go. What you will need: this sheet and 30 minutes, more or less. A D4 and a D6, or a rolling app, which I have. And it does note that if you want a longer game, you can substitute a D6 for a D8 or a D10. A deck of playing cards, jokers removed, or the minor arcana of a tarot deck, pages removed, which I think is cool. And a way to record your adventure. So this would technically fall into the sphere of a journaling game. And what I typically do with journaling games, rather than force you to watch me like head down writing something, I just talk things through. So the stream basically becomes my journal for these purposes. The start of the game is my family and I go and visit the Oracle, and the Oracle is going to give me like an idea. Besides opening up the portal to the human world, the Oracle is going to give me an idea of sort of where I'm going. And of course, the premise of this is that I'm a young Fae who has never been to the human world except a few times, and that under supervision. And now I'm going to go explore on my own. First, we're going to roll the D4, and that's going to tell us sort of where we're going. And then that number is going to correspond to a suit in the deck of cards that I have. I've rolled a 4. We're going to the circus, and that is spades. So, going to shuffle up the spades, and then we're going to roll a D6. That's going to tell me how many cards. I want more than one card. 4 cards. Okay. So they're going to stay face down. All right. Put the rest of them over there. Yeah, so we leave the Oracle's office, which is like this very... I mean, you can picture it to be whatever you like. It's described in the game as being just a very simple magical space. There's like a bookshelf along one wall and just a round table in the center, candles and flowers and a silk tablecloth. Now, we're going to the circus, and the 4 cards that I've drawn, each of the numbers in that particular the numbers of the cards will give prompts for sort of what I'm encountering when I'm at the circus. I'm going to say some things like, make some decisions right now. In this particular world, there is no animal cruelty. If there are animal acts, the animals are well treated, well trained. They're not hurt to make them do any of the tricks, which is the unfortunate history of much of the animal acts in any circus anywhere. But I think these animals actually, let's just take animals out of the equation entirely. This is a circus without animal acts. It's largely dependent on acrobatics and showmanship and performance and things like that. And it has like a little fairground attached to it as well. So there's like rides and little carnival booths and things like that. Ring toss and more in line with Cirque du Soleil, I think, than a traditional circus. I like that a lot more. So when I arrived, there's just this. The portal opens up between like two tents, sort of like, one of the few out of the way spots on the circus ground. Yeah, I sort of step out and it's just busy. Like there's just people all over the place. There's that, that typical sort of like carnival circus music playing. Somewhere there's like a steam organ that's like plunking away. And you can hear like people laughing and talking and children running around and that sort of thing. And it's just like a riot of like colors and smells. You can smell like the usual smells of like fried food and I mean, all sorts of smells. I don't think my young fae recognizes exactly what fried food is. I don't think it's something that's like common in the fairy realm. So there are delicious smells, sort of mingled in with very, very like earthy smells. After taking in sort of like, acclimating for a moment and looking around and sort of getting settled into the space, I'm going to start looking around. So the first card is the 7. Yeah, so the prompt for 7 is, what a relief. You come across another fae who helps you. How do they help? So yeah, I think I'm just sort of like, I stumble out from between these two tents and I'm looking around and another fae who it just happens to be there, because I'm not supervised on this trip. So I just sort of accidentally run into them. I think they're, I think I encounter them. They've tried to find like a quiet place to sit down and maybe just enjoy. I imagine they have like just a huge tray of fair food, right? Like that carnival food. If it can be deep fried, it's deep fried, and technically everything can be deep fried at least once. So, but it's just like essentially fat and sugar and all those delicious smells that go along with that, and we just sort of bump into each other. It's the first thing, and it's like, and they sort of like take in my sort of starstruck, like deer in the headlights look, and clock me as being like first time out of my own, and they're sort of eager to get on with enjoying their food. So they hand me like I think like a churro, and then just it's like make sure you hydrate, and make sure you all of the booths only take tickets, so you'll need to go buy tickets first. And they sort of point me in the direction of the ticket booth, where you have to buy a number of tickets, and then you, I guess, exchange tickets for various things. So they help me out by pointing out the ticket booth, and they send me on my way. I sort of like quickly scan. Churros are pretty good. Like, let's be fair. And yeah, they send me on my way. And so, like, munching on a churro, and we don't have anything like this back in Fairyland. This is like delicious fried sugar, and yeah, nothing tastes like this. I mean, like fresh fruit and stuff like that back in Fairyland is pretty good, but this is like on a whole nother level. Sort of in the back of my mind, I'm already thinking of, like, how can I sneak a deep fryer back to the fairy realm? But yeah, so that's my first encounter, and they very helpfully sent me on my way. And I stumble off, and, like, exchange. At least I was clever enough, remembering from previous trips where they don't really appreciate it if you just rock up to, like, a store or a restaurant or something like that and try and pay with, like, fairy gold. So I was at least smart enough to make a bunch of the local currency before I came over here. So I exchanged some of that for tickets, and with of course, not really understanding currency exchange and things like that. I think I buy, like, way too many tickets. Like, I'm the guy who is uncomfortably good at skee ball at the arcade, and so I just have, like, a huge wad of tickets, and then I start exploring the rest of the circus. Start, like, checking out the booths and going and checking out, like, some of the acts and things like that. What is the next one? The Ace. You engage in something new. What is it? I don't think it's any one booth in particular, but I think I go and check out, like, all of the usual carnival booths, like the ring toss and, like, the little air rifles and the darts, like throwing darts to hit the balloons, and what is it, the water tank. You have to throw a softball and hit the thing to dunk the person. The dunk tank. There we go. Got there. And I think it's just, like, there's nothing like this, back in the fairy realm, and just these odd little games. And I think, like, we all know and we learn as we're going up that these games are not fixed per se. Well, I mean, they are. But they're set up in such a way that, like, physics does not favor you necessarily winning. And I think we as fellow people sort of, like, think of that as, oh, the game is rigged, or they're cheating, right? Like, but I think my young fairy person, well, I don't think they get angry at their rigged. I just don't think they have enough. This is their first time at a circus and their first time dealing with this. I think they assume that this is how the game is meant to be set up. Like, the rigging is part of it, right? And like, overcoming that rigging is part of the game. Is that you have to, right? Like, on the ring toss, the fact that, like, the glass bottles, the plastic rings they use, are very bouncy when it comes to those glass bottles. Is just part of the game, like how they're arranged, and yeah, I mean, that's a good point. The Fae are known to be tricksy, so I mean, they might just appreciate some of the trickery. But either way, I think my young Fae person, after a few, like, warm up rounds with each of the the various games, is just like annoyingly good at them, to the point where, he's politely getting shuffled along, like they're having to give away like some of the nicer prizes, and they don't necessarily like that, so he's being sort of like, and I think word starts to get around, so that like as he approaches like a booth for like a new game, maybe that's when the person is like, oh, sorry, we're gonna go on break for a little bit now. Yeah, just come back in like a little bit, and this starts happening, and after like probably about like 20 minutes, half an hour, um, suddenly all of these places are on like lunch break for some reason, um, and now it's not exciting here anymore. But I'm also imagining like my young Faye is now like, momentarily burdened by like a bunch of stuffed animals and tchotchkes and things like that you win at these fair games. I think he at some point will find like a child or children who look like they are in need of a stuffed animal, or two or five, and just sort of give them away. As cute as they are, they're not. Doesn't want to. I don't want to carry them around for the rest of the day. Um, um, and yeah, so spends part of the afternoon, I think, with these fair games, and then makes a lot of children very happy by giving them their. Next card. The 9. You try some human food. What was it? What did it taste like? Did you like it? So I think at this point, yeah, after playing a bunch of these fair games and then just all of these booths shutting down for lunch at the same time, it's really strange. I think my young Fey lad is going to go off and find some food. I mean, lunch sounds like a good idea. That churro has awoken something in him, and he wants to go off and try some more of what he saw on the other Fey's tray, and so he heads off to the food aisle, the food fairway, and I think he just starts sampling that tray idea, and I'm fairly certain the fair is set up that way as well. There's probably a location where he can get like a tray, and then just go booth to booth to booth. So I think he's just trying a little bit of everything, and a huge fan of like they have something called like a deep fried Mars bar, and I mean, that's literally the food of the gods, so it would be rude not to try it. But he also gets like ice cream and and French fries and corn dogs, and which oddly enough turns out to have like no corn in it whatsoever. Luckily, however, there's also no dogs in it. So, but like it's all delicious, and he just stuffs himself, which is really hard to do. Like, Fae traditionally have like pretty voracious appetites. It's difficult to make them full, but I think he gets pretty close. And just yeah, and trying out weird food combinations. If anyone here is a Doctor Who fan, this is very much a custard and fish sticks thing. I mean, dipping fries into a milkshake is pretty standard, but I think this is also like, he's he's using like, I don't know, there's like a, Rocky Road ice cream as a dip for one of his corn dogs, and then he's putting like mustard on the deep fried Mars bar, and just trying out all of these weird. Apparently it's really good. Fish sticks and custard. Particularly because like the fish sticks are generally pretty salty. If they're not, if you salt them up and then just put them in custard, I think part of the issue too is that we often think of, because in North America we sort of equate custard with pudding, with like pudding mix, and that's generally the thing that most people think about in North America when they think of custard. But custard is actually like more of it's still sweet, but it's not as sweet as like a pudding mix. And it is often used because it's an egg cream. It is sometimes used in like savory dishes. But definitely if it was like a sweeter custard, that would be like a little odd, but yeah. So he's just hoovering up a tray, and then, when he finishes it, he's sort of like, moment of surprise when the tray is like empty, and he's like, oh, But like I said, he's got like a brick of these tickets, so he just goes back for seconds, and oh, turkey leg. It's definitely like a huge turkey leg that he eats. But I mean, I know turkey legs are usually like a Renaissance fair type of thing, but I also think they're probably ubiquitous across all fairgrounds. They are a staple food of any fair or carnival. But yeah, and just spends like a good chunk of the afternoon sat at a table somewhere, gorging himself on all of this human food. And luckily he has that really, really high Fae metabolism that he's just going to burn through this. I'm imagining like most fairy creatures are like, have like a hummingbird metabolism. So he's probably consumed about 10,000 calories at this point and is just going to like burn that off, just walking around. And then we got the last card, which is the King. A human helps you with something. In what ways do they help? That is an excellent question. I think once I'm done eating, I mean, this is my first time to a circus, so I don't think I quite understand. Like, I've been walking. Yeah. Point out the bathroom. Yeah. After all of that food, definitely. But no, I think this is the... given that it's my first time at a circus, I don't think I quite understand how things like I can hear music and stuff coming from inside tents, but I don't understand. I think I try and like walk in through like the back of a tent in what is like the performers area, and get quickly turned around and like shoved back out, and then somebody is like, takes pity on me and shows me where I can actually go and turn in tickets to go and watch the performances. And so I think finally somebody helps me like go in and actually like take a look at and watch one of these performances. And it is, obviously back in the Fae realm, we have, we're very dexterous and very acrobatic and lithe and things like that. And I think, so it, I mean, maybe on one level it shouldn't be as impressive, because like we definitely like can do this sort of stuff, but just the showmanship and the combination of like lights and music and that sort of thing. Like we have much more beautiful music in the Fae realm People are much more acrobatic. They put on plays that are much more interesting. But I think like the combination. Oh, hey, Jason, welcome in. Yeah, I'm just thanks, Raiders. Really approaching. Hey, Star Girl, how's it going? Hey, thanks for popping by. I'm actually just I'm wrapping up a. I've got one card to play after this. I'm playing a game of Faery's Day Adventure into the Human World, which is a solo TTRPG. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate the raid. I'm glad you're doing okay, and yeah. So welcome in, Raiders. That's what we do here on Friday nights. We play solo TTRPGs, and tell stories. Yeah, so I think my Fae creature watches this circus act, and it's like the first time he's seen anything like this. Just the combination of like music and acrobatics and lights and sound and and they're doing it like live in front of them, and it's just this beautiful think like Cirque du Soleil, but like less stagey. Like in a circus you are much more sort of like around the act than you are sort of like set at a remove from it, and so but very much that type of act, and it is just stupendous. We're going to draw one more card just to finish out the story before the portal opens up and my Fae lad goes back home. Number 3. You buy, trade, or are gifted an item to take back home. What is it, and why is it special? I think I talked before about the fact that like I had won a bunch of like stuffed animals and tchotchkes and stuff like that at the carnival games. And I think like when I was giving them away to some of the kids, I think one of the kids like didn't want to take a gift, but wanted to trade me an item, which, as a Fae creature, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that makes absolute sense. Trades and bargains are sort of what we do. I'm happy to make a bargain with you, small human child. And so I think I gave them like a stuffed purple elephant. And they looked at the stuffed purple element and then very solemnly reached into their pocket and pulled out this sort of tin, slightly bent, but like green sort of like tin 4-leaf clover, and handed it to me, and I very solemnly took it, and now it's my prized possession. I've been wearing it around all day. It is a deeply appreciated gift that I think my Fae lad is going to like wear pretty much everywhere he goes from now on. If he's not wearing it, it's because he's saving it for a special occasion. But yeah, so now he has, for the cost of like one stuffed purple elephant, he has this beautiful yeah, exactly. Little do all those other kids who didn't give me anything know that now they owe me a favor, and someday I will come to collect. Which can be very confusing for them when like they're in their 30s, and suddenly I pop back up and I'm just like, hey, remember that stuffed animal I gave you at the fairground back in like whatever? Well, now I've come to collect on that. Yeah, that's a story for another time. But yeah, with that, I think my Faery's day is over. He goes back to in between the two tents where he first arrived, and sure enough, the portal appears, and taking me back to the Fey realm, and off he goes. Returning home, and immediately, like his family is there, his friends are there, wanting to know how it was, and he tries to describe as best he can, sort of like what a human circus is like. He knows he's not doing it justice, but everyone seems very excited about what he's talking about. So he suspects that like a bunch of people are going to, that a lot of circuses are about to get like a lot of fairy folk visiting them in the very near future. Yeah, and then there's an optional epilogue in the game which asks, why do you think you were guided to this place and what did you learn? Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that for his first time in the human realm, he wanted to, he was guided here to sort of like learn learn some of the best of humans, some of the fun and the imagination and that sort of thing. Plenty of time to learn the other aspects of humanity later, but definitely definitely a good first introduction, or a good first solo trip into the human realm. Relatively safe, relatively low stakes. It's very hard to stand out at a carnival. But yeah. But this has been A Faery's Day Adventure into the Human World, by Dark Jaguar. I will quickly post the link to them again. Definitely go check out the rest of their games. They write some very beautiful, simple little solo TTRPGs. I think you really enjoy it, and do pick up a copy of this one. I believe it's pay what you want, so grab it. I highly recommend, though, if you do grab it for free, which is totally okay, do remember to leave like a 5-star review, just as a thank you to the creator, because it helps them out. It helps them get noticed on itch a lot easier, and yeah, it's just a nice thing to do if you're going to grab it for free. It's a nice thing to do even if you're not going to grab it for free. I highly recommend like dropping a few bucks on it, because it's worth it for like a little bit of entertainment. And I also particularly like the fact that at the very end of the game, even though the game itself is only 3 pages long, I do like the fact that he has included a little bit at the end. It's become known as the Olivia Hill rule, because Olivia Hill was the first one to put it into one of their games. #iHunt. But it says, if you're a fascist, you're not welcome to play this game. It's against the rules. If you're reading this and thinking, you just call everyone you disagree with a fascist, then you're probably a fascist, or incapable of drawing inferences from context and acknowledging a dangerous political climate that causes the oppressed to be hyperbolic. Don't play this game. Heal yourself. Grow, learn, watch some Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or something. No fascists, sexists, homophobes, transphobes, or other forms of bigot are allowed to play or use this game in any way. And I like that. I think more games should put that paragraph into their games. I know most good people who create tabletop role-playing games, solo or otherwise, don't feel they need to put it in because they feel that it should be implied that it's not. Don't imply it. Just say it. Just tell fascists to go F themselves. It's a really simple, easy addition. It's 1 paragraph. And it makes, in my mind anyway, it makes your game so much better. That is, it's a quick evening, because it's a quick game. As promised, it took about like 30 minutes to play. And it is just a really quick, simple, fun journaling game for you to try out. So I highly recommend going and following if you enjoyed my little introduction to it. We are raising funds for Extra Life, and that is the link to my donation page. You can make a donation there. If you make a donation through my Extra Life page, you're actually making 2 donations, because I am matching donations coming into my Extra Life page with matching donations to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So every donation you make to me, every quarter I'm going to be making that same amount, same donation to Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So without further ado, yeah, it's a short one tonight. Tomorrow morning, however, at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so that'll be 10 a.m. Pacific, and 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be playing some more solo games. I'm going to be playing 2 of them, actually, and they will, I promise, take a little bit longer than this one did. I'm going to be playing a game that I worked on. It was written and created by Fleet Dietrich, called My Mother's Kitchen. I did the editing on it. It is a beautiful, beautiful game. So tomorrow I'll be using my alternate camera setup so that it can look down on the desk and you can sort of see. I'm going to flip through the book and show off the game some. We'll play this. It is a wonderful solo game where you are a spirit trapped in a family cookbook, and the only way you can sort of remember why you're trapped there, and therefore escape, is to sort of help the members of your family down through the ages make recipes. So it's a fun, heartwarming, very very intimate tabletop game. Hope you join me for that. That's at 11. And then as soon as we finish playing this, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to jump into a game called Remember Us, which is a card-driven prompt game about sort of memory and exploring your childhood home. So yeah, and that one is by Mallory Mize, and it's a very, very excellent game. So I hope if you want to stop by tomorrow, check those out. That's going to be at, as I say, 11 a.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Yeah, that all sounds right. Or you can just follow me on Twitter, at dorklordcanada, and catch my going live tweets, and you'll be able to watch me then. You can pop in for some of it, all of it. If you can make a donation, that's fantastic. This weekend, I am doing draws, so if you donate this weekend, then you'll be entered into a draw for one of 2 $25 gift certificates to Drive-Thru RPG. So if you want a little extra money to buy some tabletop games, I mean, maybe you pick up a copy of My Mother's Kitchen. Although, having said that, I'm not sure if it's on Drive-Thru, but plenty of other really good games on Drive-Thru. And if you want recommendations, just hit me up on Twitter and I'll give you some. We're just gonna wrap it up and let you all get on with your evening.